JinPingMei Original Version Chapter 15. The beautiful lady laughs and enjoys the lantern tower, and the client helps Li Chun Yuan. As time goes by, it is as early as the 15th day of the first lunar month. Simon Kingshan sent Diane to deliver 4 plates of soup, a jar of wine, a plate of longevity peaches, a plate of longevity noodles, and a set of gold-woven heavy silk clothes with Wu Yunyang's name written on them for Li Ping'er's birthday. Li Ping'er just got up and dressed up, called Danner into the bedroom, and said, "I disturbed your aunt the day before yesterday, and today I taught your aunt to take the trouble to send gifts." Dan said, "Mother is overruling you, and Dad is also overriding the second mother. It's just a small gift, and I'll give it to my 2 mothers as a reward." Li Ping'er handed out 4 trays of tea to welcome the spring and put her esophagus into Dan's house. Before leaving the house, he took 2 coins and a shiny handkerchief, and said, "When you get home, I'll send you a message to all the ladies in your family. I'll ask Lao Feng to invite you here. At any rate, we'll all come and go in person tomorrow." Diane Kotodan went out to box bearers and 100 pennies. Li Ping'er then asked Lao Feng to take 5 Cambodian invitations and invite Yunyang and Li Jiar, Meng Yulu, Sun Zui and Pan Jinlian on the 15th. He also sent another invitation to secretly invite Simon King to come that evening. Seats, Yunyang arrived the next day, leaving Sun Zui to look after the house, and went out with 4 sedans, Li Jiar, Meng Yulu, and Pan Jinlian, all dressed in colorful and embroidered clothes, followed by 4 young servants, Lake Sing, Lion, Diane, and Huadong. Then, he came to Li Ping'er's newly bought house in Lion Street Light Market. The house has 4 rooms on the facade and 3 floors at the bottom. There is a building facing the street. There are wing rooms on both sides of the Yemen, with 3 guest rooms and 1 at the end. The passage leads through, and there are 3 bedrooms and a kitchen on the 3rd floor. The landing at the back is close to Kiao Huangkin's garden. Li Ping'er knew that Yunyang and others were coming to see the lanterns. Tables and seats were set up on the upper floor facing the street, and many lanterns were hung. We are first welcomed into the guest seats, and the etiquette is completed. Then we are led into the open room at the back to wait for tea. No need to elaborate. At noon, 4 tables were set up in the guest area, and 2 singers, Dong Jiar and Han Jin Shuo, were invited to play, sing and drink. A fine banquet was set up upstairs in front, and the Yunyang people were invited to go upstairs to watch the lanterns and play. There are xiang curtains and lanterns hanging in front of the eaves. Wu Yunyang is wearing a bright red coat with full sleeves, a delicate green skirt, and a mink fur coat. Li Jiar, Meng Yulu, and Pan Jinlian all wear white silk jackets and blue skirts. Li Jiar is a golden jia with agarwood color all over the ground. Meng Yulu is a gold jia with green everywhere, and Pan Jinlian is red with gold jia all over, with a pile of pearls and emeralds on his head, and a half-undressed phoenix hairpin. They all sit down and watch from the windows of the building. The lantern market was crowded with people and very lively. Dozens of lantern stands were set up on the street, surrounded by various businesses. Men and women playing with lanterns, flowers and willows red, and cars and horses thundering. But see, 2 dragons play in the water through the rocks, and a single crane looks up to the sky reflected in the clouds. Jin screen lanterns and jade tower lanterns are covered with pearls. Lotus lanterns and hibiscus lanterns are scattered round thousands of beautiful things. The hydrangea lights are bright and clean, and the snowflake lights are fluttering. The scholar's lantern bows to give way to those who advance and stop, preserving the legacy of Confucius and Mencius. The daughter-in-law's lantern is gentle and gentle, imitating the integrity of Meng and Zhang. The monk Deng Yuming is connected to Liu Chui, and the judge Deng Zhongqi sits side by side with his little sister. The master lantern waved her feather fan to pretend to summon evil spirits, and the golden toad behind her bangs lantern swallowed the treasure. Camel lanterns and green lion lanterns carry priceless treasures. Ape lanterns and white elephant lanterns carry the secret treasures of Liancheng. A crab lantern with 7 arms and 8 legs plays with the clear waves, and a huge bearded catfish lantern swallows green algae. Silver moths compete for color, and snowy willows compete for glory. Fish, dragon and sand play, the 7 true masters and 5 elders presented alchemy books. Hanging tassels, 9 barbarians, and 8 barbarians came to collect treasures. In the village, there are drums and drums, teams and teams are noisy. Performers of all kinds of opera are fighting for their skills. The rotating lamp comes and goes, and the chandelier rises or hangs down. The glass vase reflects beautiful women and strange flowers, and the mica barrier merges with Yingzhu Yuan. The kings and grandsons competed to watch under the small fence, playing Qian. The ladies accompanied each other on the high building, showing off their beauty. The hexagrams and for hexagrams gathered together, and the Xingluo of Ji motels tell how good fortune will be in the new year, and determine the prosperity and decline of the whole life. There was also Yang Gong, a poet and composer who was standing on the high slope talking. He came to see this wandering monk with a ringing cymbal, giving a lecture on the Tripitaka. Those selling Yuan Shao are piled high with fruit fillings, and those selling plum blossoms are piled with dead branches. Cut Chun, put it sideways on the temples to stir up the east wind, pray for Liang Chai. And the golden sun will fly above your head. The screen is painted with Xichong's brocade tent, and the bead curtain is painted with plum blossoms and the moon. Although you can't fully see the scenery of Aocean Mountain, you should have a prosperous and happy year. Yunyang took a look and saw that there was a commotion downstairs, so she and Li Jiar went back to the banquet to have a drink. Only Pan Jinlian and Meng Yulu, the 2 singers, just leaned against the window and looked down. Pan Jinlian hugged the sleeves of his white silk coat, revealing his gold-covered sleeves, revealing his 10 spring onion fingers, wearing 6 gold stirrup rings. He leaned half of his body, knocked melon seeds in his mouth, and the rinds of the melon seeds that were smashed were spitted out on the person. And Yulu and I couldn't stop laughing. One time he pointed out, "Eldest sister, come and see. The 2 hydrangea lanterns hanging under the eaves of that house are rolling up and down. They are very beautiful." Another time he said, "Second sister, come and see. There is a big fish lantern on this pair of door shelves. And there are many small fish, turtles and crabs underneath. It's fun to follow him." He called again, "Third sister, look! This woman's lantern in this song. That old man's lamp." As he was looking at it, a gust of wind suddenly came and cut a big hole in the lower half of the old man's lamp. When the woman saw it, she couldn't stop laughing. She provoked the man looking at the lamp downstairs, rubbing shoulders and looking up. He was so crowded that he couldn't move around, and his feet were pressed down. There were a few wandering disciples inside, pointing and talking. One said, "It must be the family members who came from the prince's mansion." Another guessed, "It's the concubine of the noble family, who is here to see the lanterns. Otherwise, how will the family dress up?" Another one said, "Could it be the courtyard, young and middle-aged ladies? It was the adults who asked me to come here to watch the lanterns and the music." Another one came over and said, "I am the only one who recognizes them. You can't guess. These 2 women are not from Zhao Kei's family. They're King Yema. His wife is the concubine of General Wu Dao. She is a woman who runs a herbal medicine shop in front of our county and pays off official debts to high-ranking officials in Simon. Why did you mess with him? I must have come here with his aunt to watch the lanterns. This woman is wearing green and gold everywhere. Yes, I don't recognize it. The one wearing bright red and gold-covered armor with a green-faced flower on it looks like Wu Daling's wife who sells cooking cakes. Daling was kicked to death by a high-ranking official because he caught an adulterer in Wang Pa's tea house. He married her as a concubine at home. The next time his brother-in-law Wu Song complained, he accidentally killed Zhou Li Weifu and was sent to the army by a high official. Now he has not been seen for a year or 2, and he has been so handsome. Come on." Just as he was talking, Wu Yunyang saw that there were many people around downstairs, so she asked Jinlian and Yulo to sit down. Listening to the 2 fans playing and singing lantern lyrics, and drinking. After sitting for a while, Yunyang was about to get up and said, "The wine has taken over." Ernaying and I went ahead and left his 2 sisters to sit for a while to express our love for Ernaying. His father is not at home today. and there is no one at home. I'm not worried about just leaving these girls alone." Li Ping'er was willing to let go and said, "Good lady, it's okay for a slave to fail to do his best. Today is the festival, and the lights are not lit and the food is not served. I want to go home, even if Father Simon is not at home. There are still his girls. What are you afraid of? When the moonlight comes up, I will send the 4 mothers away." Yunyang said, "Second mother, that's not what you said. I doesn't drink much wine, and his 2 sisters are just like me." Li Ping'er said, "My aunt doesn't need it, and my second wife doesn't eat a minute. It doesn't make sense. I think I was at my aunt's house the day before yesterday. The bells refused to hesitate, but the ladies refused to spare me. Today I came to this narrow place like this. Although I don't have much to offer, I would like to give you a little effort." Then he handed the big silver bell to Li Jier, said, "Second mother, please have a cup." "Madam, I don't dare to serve you a big cup. I only offer you a small cup." Then he poured the full cup to Yunyang. The 2 singers, Yunyang, each gave him 2 coins. After Li Jier had finished drinking, Yunyang got up and told Yulu and Jinlian, "I'll go first. And I'll ask the boy to bring a lantern to pick you up, so I'll just come. There's no one at home." Yulu promised. Li Ping'er sent Yunyang and Li Jier to the front door and boarded the sedan. "Go back upstairs and have a drink with Yulu and Jinlian. Look at the night, lights are lit upstairs, and the 2 singers are playing and drinking." But he said that on that day, Simon King, the 2 elders, Earl Ying and Zishi, had dinner at home and went to the lantern market together. When they arrived at the east entrance of Lion Street, Simon King stopped going to the west street to look at the big lanterns, because Yunyang and the others were having a drink at Li Ping'er's house. They were afraid that they would see them, and only went back to the gauze lantern cellar. "I didn't want to turn around and bumped into Sun Zizui and Zhu Xinian. They sang and said, 'I haven't seen you for days, brother, and I'm longing for you.' When they saw Earl Ying and Zishi, they cursed. 'You 2 damn good people. When you came to play with me, why don't you call me?' Simon King said, 'Brother Zhu, you wrongly blamed the 2 of them. We met on the road just now.' Jushi thought, 'Where are you going now after seeing the lantern?' Simon King said, 'I went to the big restaurant to have 3 drinks with all the brothers. Didn't I also invite the brothers to their homes? Today all the servants went to other people's houses to have a drink.' Zhu Xinian said, 'It's better than inviting me to my brother's house. Every time I go to a restaurant, why don't I go inside and look at Sister Li Gui? I just want to say New Year's greetings during the holiday and hang out with him. The 2 of us were at his house the day before yesterday, and he looked at us so hard that he couldn't cry. He said he didn't come from Lolly. It's so good that the officials don't go in to see him in the shadow. I have no time today, so we would rather go in with him for a walk.' Simon King remembered that Li Ping'er had an appointment that evening, so he declined and said, 'Today I have some small things to do, so I'll go tomorrow.' How could this group of people drag him to death? So we went into the courtyard together. Exactly, the flowers at the bottom of the willow suppress the dust on the road, and you will enjoy new things every time you travel. I don't know how many households in the world will be poor if I buy all the smiles in Chang'an." When Simon King and others arrived at Li's house, Gui King was standing at the front of the door dressed up, welcoming him into the middle hall to meet him. Zhu Xinian shouted, "Please come out quickly. Thanks to all of us. The high-ranking official invited today is here." After a while, the old Jin woman came out with her crutches, met Simon King and said, "I have never neglected my brother-in-law, so why haven't I come in to see my sister? I must have found a new cousin elsewhere." Zhu Xinian interjected, "You old man can guess. I have been seeing a beautiful lady recently. Cousin, I only walk there every day, and I don't miss your sister Gui. We just bumped into each other in the lantern market and asked him to come, but he still hasn't come. Mom doesn't believe it. Just ask Sun Box you." Because he pointed at Earl Ying and Zida said, "These 2 damned ones are the same as him." After hearing this, the old Jin woman laughed and said, "Good brother Ying, my family is not annoying you. Why don't you say a nice word in front of your brother-in-law? Even though my brother-in-law has a lot of hair, as the saying goes, If a good boy doesn't pay for a prostitute, everyone in the world will have the same money. I'm not boasting that my sister Gui is not ugly either, and my brother-in-law himself if you have eyes. No one needs to talk about it now. Sun Zizui said, I'm telling the truth, the cousin I'm talking about now is not the cousin from the inside, but the cousin from the outside. After JinPingMei heard this, he chased Sun Zi. He just slapped his mouth and said, Mom, don't listen to this old glib and old murderer of natural and man-made disasters. Sun Zizui and everyone laughed together. JinPingMei took out 3 taels of silver from his sleeve and handed it to Gui King. I'm inviting friends during the festival. Gui King refused to accept it and handed it to his mother. Mom said, What's the matter? My brother-in-law is laughing at my family. He can't bring out food and wine to treat you dads during the big festival. He also taught his brother-in-law to corrupt banknotes and take out silver. It's obvious that people in our courtyard just love money. Earl Ying came over and said, Mom, if you accept it, please arrange wine for us to eat. The Qianpo said, This is not possible in theory. She declined and took the money. He took off his sleeves, said a deep blessing, and said, Thank you, brother-in-law, for your charity. Earl Ying said, Mom, please stay here. I tell you a joke. A young man went whoring to a young lady in the courtyard. That day he pretended to be a poor man and went in. His mother saw that his clothes were in tatters and ignored him. He sat there for a long time and didn't bring out the tea. The younger brother said, Mom, I'm hungry. I want to find some food to eat. The mother said, We have hoarded rice to dry, so why are we here to beg for food? The boy asked again, We have no food, but if you have some water, bring some water and I will wash my face. The mother said, You have to pay less to carry water. No water has been delivered for several days. The disciple took out 10 taels of silver from his sleeve, put it on the table, and ordered him to buy rice and water. The panicked mother had no words to say. My brother-in-law has eaten and washed his face. And after washing his face, he will eat his face. Everyone was shocked. Laughed. Qianpo said, You are still so quick to make fun of Kier. Since ancient times, you have always said that it is not a problem. Earl Ying said, Bring me your ears, and I will tell you. The high official recently invited the second brother Hua. Cousin, Wu Yin'er is from the back alley. I don't want your sister Gui. Qianpo laughed and said, I don't believe it. My sister Gui is not a strong talker today. She is even better than Wu Yin'er. My family and my brother-in-law are constantly being cut with sharp knives. Relatives, what kind of person is your brother-in-law? He sees a lot with his eyes, and he can estimate the quality of gold even in tight spots. After saying that, he went in to put away the food and drinks. After a while, Sister Li Gui came out. She was carrying a silk hairpin, a gold silk hairpin, an emerald plum flower, a bead hoop, and a gold cage pendant. She was wearing a white silk double-breasted coat, a red skirt, and pink makeup. Yuzhua looked down and said Wanfu, and sat down side by side with Gisheng. After a while, tea was brewed. Gisheng and Sister Gui each handed a cup and they finished eating together. Bauer came to mop the spring platform and was just about to put away the wine on the table. Suddenly he saw a few people wearing ragged clothes outside the curtain, calling them Jier. They came in and knelt down, holding 3 or 4 liters in their hands. Guazier, during the festival, be filial to your father. JinPingMei only recognized the first one named Yuchun'er and asked, How many of you are here? Yuchun said, There are also Duan Miansha and King Naiyu waiting outside. Duan Miansha came in, Sir Earl Ying inside, and said, Father Ying is here too. She kowtowed quickly. JinPingMei paid for his melon seeds, opened his wallet, pinched a tael of silver and plundered it on the ground. Yuchun'er took it, kowtowed to the ground with everyone, and said, Thank you Dad for the reward, and ran out. There is a single channel Jirexing Zhang of Chao Jianzi. One family makes peace, another family makes peace. He has few abilities and a big head. Some of his children accidentally move around and wander around the courtyard. Help out at the table and knock your teeth. The gang broke up after a fight, and they didn't make much money. What's wrong with you? He begs for saliva in the tiger's mouth. Simon King dismissed the fight and went out, arranging for wine to be served. Sister Gui's cup is full of gold. Her red sleeves hang down. She cooks exotic dishes. She offers fresh fruits. She leans against the green and red, and the flowers are rich and the wine is gorgeous. After drinking for 2 rounds, Gixing and Sister Gui played a zither and a pipa, and they sang a set of Jijing harmony. While singing in a lively place, I saw 3 people wearing green clothes and yellow whips, called yuanj, holding a roast goose and 2 bottles of old wine in their hands. Neil, Simon Kingping recognized one of them, by Balzi, Xiao Jiangshen, and Luo Huizi, because he said, "You guys wait outside, and when we have finished drinking, kick them 3 times. Then he picked them up on the table. I bought 4 plates of rice, a large pot of wine, and a plate of snacks, and sent them to eat and collect their energy Mao Q to serve. Simon King had a drink, came out to the yard, and kicked him away first. The next time I taught Sister Gui to come up and play with 2 round clubs. One is shaking his head, the other is confronting. Obstacles, kicking, turning and beating, all of them are cheering and flattering. There are some things that are not everywhere, but they are all taken away soon." Instead, he asked Simon King for the reward, saying, "Sister Gui's outfit is one of the best. Dozens of times better than Dongguan's daughter in Urshao Lane." At that moment, Sister Gui kicked her twice and ran down, making her eyebrows full of dust and sweat. Wet cheeks, panting, and tired waist and limbs. He took out a spring fan from his sleeve and shook it, joined hands with Simon King, and watched Gui King kicking round with Zizida and Zhang Shaoxian. Bai Baldi and Luo Huizi were waiting for their feet to be picked up from time to time. There is also the word Chao Jianzi, which simply expresses the beginning and end of this circle. I am free at home. Scraping saliva everywhere, not doing anything physiologically. Ji Mao Q is always by my side, and I stand on the street every day. The poor don't like it, but they envy the rich. From morning till night, they don't even have a full meal. He couldn't transfer big money, and his wife was often taken over by others. Simon King was watching everyone playing Shuanglu, kicking Chi Maokyu and drinking in the courtyard. He saw Diane coming to pick him up on horseback. He quietly whispered in his ear, Auntie and Ernie went to their house. Hua Erniang called for the younger one to please Dad should come over earlier. After Simon King heard this, he secretly called Diane, hang the horse by the back door and wait for me. So he didn't even eat wine, so he pulled Sister Gui into the room and only sat there for a while. He came out to wash his hands, mounted his horse at the back door, and walked away in a hurry. Earl Ying asked Bauer to pull him away, but Simon King only said, I have something to do at home. Will he be transferred there? Teach Jenner to take 1, 2 or 5 coins and send them to 3 round societies. The Li family was afraid that he would go to Wu Yinera's house in the back alley again and ask the maid to follow him to the front of the courtyard gate before returning. Earl Ying and others did not leave until the second watch. Exactly, he laughs and scolds, and he entertains me and entertains me.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.